Greetings, beloved souls. I am Navjeet, a seeker hailing from the enchanted land of India. I'm honored to be a twin flame. I'm honored to be a part of the Ashtar Galactic Command. I'm honored to be a part of other councils and boards, including the Karmic Board. And I'm honored to be a member of the 144,000 core group of volunteers who came down in the first batch to assist in this grand planetary transition from 3D to 5D, which is unfolding right now. My journey, sparked by a divine discontent, led me through the realms of meditation, healing, and ancient yogic practices. Along this path, I've been honored to connect with a multitude of enlightened beings from the cosmos. Now, why do I share these channeled messages with you? Because it's not just a privilege, it's a sacred duty. These transmissions, gifted to me by various galactic beings, offer a guiding light towards higher consciousness. They unveil insights into the unfolding tapestry of existence, providing glimpses into probable events, revealing transformative humanitarian projects, and illuminating this inevitable spiritual evolution of humanity. This is not just information, it is an invitation to embark on a collective journey of awakening. Join me as we explore the cosmic wisdom shared by these benevolent beings, understanding the mysteries and our place in this vast multiverse. Today, I'm honored to share with us the channeling session with Zoser, an ancient king of Egypt, revered not only as a mighty ruler, but also as the god of healing. Zoser left an indelible mark on the landscape of ancient Egypt by commissioning the construction of the groundbreaking Step Pyramid. Join us as we uncover the mysteries surrounding this enigmatic figure and his ethereal temple of healing.
Greetings. I am Zoser, Cosmic Physician of Light. I come forth today, and also there are others here, such as Rokan, who is a master innovator, also an artist, and there's much creativity being brought forth for that focus that we wish to place today. And while my forte is much within the healing arts, within healing modalities, I also help, shall we say, in bringing out ideas, rolling out ideas, and being regarding the MedBeds and other advanced types of technologies relative specifically to healing, but also in the total transformation of human society upon planet Earth. And as others have expressed, how excited we are indeed. The closer we come to, in a linear sense of time, things being rolled out, things being clarified, things becoming more clear within you, my brother, your mind and consciousness, and everyone else who is very passionately dedicated to this total transformation, liberation, transformation of human society, and liberation of humanity. And it's kind of, as others have used the analogy recently, this channel heard this phrase, and it's been used many thousands, if not millions of times, in the analogy of the caterpillar going through the different process of becoming the butterfly It isn't something that happens instantly, but over a matter of days, there is this, shall we say, transformational effect, and then the butterfly wings begin to merge, begin to emerge. It become, shall we say, the whole process begins to, it goes through the complete stages that it has to, chrysalis, until it becomes full-fledged and it flies off to a degree in the new areas of experience that it is meant to be in the process that has been going on for millions of years, actually, and how all species have been going through transformational processes. Now, because there is transformational change, some that has never happened in the history of humanity, and in the universe itself, that is taking place on planet Earth right now. There is, of course, a rapidity of how fast things are happening. There have been other worlds that have had similarities, but not to the extreme, intense, rapid change in a very short period of time. And of course, well, the sense of, I speak of the shortness of this because we know how impatient, this is not a criticism, this is just an observation, how impatient so many of you are to get on with things, to have it all happen finally after so much talk. And I just would say to you that this whole process of beginning what is termed the rollout, beginning to activate, and things beginning to physically occur, physical action, and the aspect of what you already having on other energetic levels prepared yourself as much as you could on the other levels, so that that preparation will begin to merge more and more into your mental sense of a certain sense, a little more, it's not a sense of becoming caught up into a certain rigid pattern of things. No, it's more like, as we could say, Ashtar has often used the term Play-Doh, Cosmic Play-Doh, where you can play with it, you can fool around with it, and it doesn't become rigid and hard. It's always flexible and pliable, and it's always able to adapt. And especially because of there is some areas of quote open, you know, and where, because this has never been attempted before, as is about to take place, there are areas of question marks, open season kind of thing. What will happen? And the term, as this channel likes to use the term, well, this is a scientific experiment to see exactly how it's going to begin to roll out, because some of it's, as we would say, spontaneously will come into manifest form without it. It's like the basic outline of the plan is there. It's like we've used this analogy to this channel before. The structure of the building, the house, is there, and you get to fill it in. The structure, the foundation is laid, and then you get to be very creative and fill it in with whatever types of material, things that you use to build and create. Now, of course, unlike on Earth, where they use a lot of loud sounds and certain tools to build things, we, of course, just manifest things energetically. So what will begin to happen more and more, well, initially there may be used some or older, cruder type tools and devices to begin the process. Ultimately, it will become more and more energetic. It will take on more of an energetic manifestation, where the technologies that are brought in and create and manifest in many things that will become available to you may start out kind of, one could say, kind of rigid in the way, it's like opening up a package as an analogy. You take it out, then of course, seeing all these parts they have to do. Well, these kinds of certain initial beginnings seem more dense and crude, but as time goes on, there's an evolvement that takes place, and it becomes more streamlined, easier. It kind of replicates itself. There's a kind of sense of consciousness technology that built into it, so to speak, so that it assumes its responsible role, so that you don't have to spend so much, as we sort of say, spend so much time setting things up, and it begins to replicate itself to a point. And that's also related to replicators and other kinds of technologies. So it begins to move very smoothly, more fast, more rapid, smoother and smoother. There is going to be a telepathic mental interface with this as well. So from this day forward, we can say, because some of the newer higher laid encodements that we're downloading right now, which also, just to remind you, this channel has shared this before, and we have shared too many times through this channel in recent months, last year specifically, as far as the updating of every session that we are honored to come through, and as we come through to share information, but there's always a downloading of higher light encodement. So there's always an updating where every session in the earlier 3 sessions you had, all the encodements from each of those sessions are now updated, brought forward into this session, along with the newer higher light encodements that we were downloading. Even though you can go back and listen to things on a conscious level, in the encodement process, it's not necessary to go back and listen to each of those individually, because now all of the encodements are being interfaced, brought together into a one, as we could say, totality of update information. And every time a session occurs, this is a process that automatically takes place. So it's a streamlining, merging, expanding, enlarging, transforming as we go forward, so that things become more efficient. You plug in more and more to the energetic potential that comes out of what we share, and so that this also helps to activate aspects of DNA, RNA within you, your own healing gifts of the spirit that have always been there, kind of been laying in the back burner compared to what is yet to occur. And so many things will be revealed. They will automatically occur. They're designed to help activate many things that you've known in past lives as well as off planet. As the phrase that has been used for many years to this channel, that the human merges with the Elohim. Elohim are creator gods and goddesses, higher beings close to the divine creator on different levels. There are different levels of Elohim and work in different capacities, different multi-dimensional levels of beings who have joined together, and many higher beings that have come in recently in this part of the universe, this cosmic neck of the woods, that have never been here or been here briefly in earlier times, millennia ago, have returned to help in this transition. And some of these beings, 8th and 9th density and above, you've crossed paths with as well. And they will begin to communicate with you over a period of time. You were part of their, shall we say, so many of the star systems and galactic systems and higher dimensional realms that they have spent a lot of their time. You will have flashbacks, your veils will lift, and very much remember some of your own capacities and abilities. We could say they were both technological and healing, and working with energetics, keeping the universe in balance and in check. And there are different guardians. You've been a guardian in positions of responsibility, keeping things in balance in the universe so there isn't chaos. Now, the imbalance forces and negative AI, of course, is trying to create chaos and just destroying a lot of things. But you have learned, even while your physical body is on Earth, there's a part of you that has kept abreast of a lot of this. And you knew that you had to wait until a certain point, right close before the major transitions, before you yourself could directly tap more into that process. And so regarding, as our friend Lord Rokan, who is here, working, who is very much of an innovator. He's also, from a more humorous sense, he loves to party. He loves to work out a lot of the, what we call light clubs up here, and have wonderful celebrations and parties, because there is meant to be celebratory. There's meant to be joy and beauty, and celebrating that joy and all the creations and manifestations of our divine creator, divine source, and as things are brought down into levels, different levels of the spiritual hierarchical sense of responsibility. So it's keeping that sense of responsibility not as a heavy burden, but as a joyous feeling of freedom. And this is something I want to emphasize, and as our friend Volter came through last time, giving us psychological, there's still some psychological things that Volter would say regarding when they, as in the phrase, keep it light, because sometimes in the old work modality kind of thing, where it was kind of heavy man, is an old expression. Let's lighten it up. In other words, much of the work, and even the word work itself, was a heavy, dense work where people were bent over with heavy burdens that they were carrying and that kind of. Well, now with technology, one doesn't have to do so much of what this channel calls the grunt work any longer, where you can just tune in both telepathically and computer interface, not in the negative AI thing of some people envision, like the negative forces of controlling the world using what has been termed the mark of the beast thing. We're talking about technology that enhances, that works with you to enhance your sovereignty and your freedom and your peace of mind and joy, and allows you to have more connection with divine creation rather than cutting off divine creation, is what the world elite have been trying to do and confuse a lot of people by using phraseologies as, quote, the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening kind of thing, where they try to confuse people who aren't quite that discerning, and they're playing upon people's vulnerabilities. Well, the technologies that we have always been using is designed to liberate, to enhance, to free, to heal, to empower. There's the dynamic. So if you, in what you, as this gentleman was asking, what are the focus today? And of course, you have responded very clearly about you wanting to be a little more clear. This is what we want to help you help yourself get more clear, help you help yourself, and we work with you to support you. Your actions give us mandated authority to step in and be as help to you while you still, in your sense of being the guardian and being in charge of things in a certain way, in fellowship, you will be working with many others. And even though you initially may feel that you're a little bit one of the few people in your, and regarding to India and that part of the world, you will soon eventually connect with others that have been kind of scattered here and there and join together and feel their connection, feel that fellowship that you have, and how even in the phrase, when two or more are gathered together, whether it be two or quadruple number of people, it's all relative, what is necessary and needed for the work. But the word work will not be, and I'm emphasizing this too, so that it takes away the overwhelming sense of things. Well, if there's going to be overwhelming, it will be overwhelming joy, overwhelming inspiration, overwhelming empowerment, overwhelming freedom and liberation. That will be the overwhelming nature, not the feeling of a heavy sense of responsibility. And you already know this, but we're just saying that, we're saying this officially for the record. One of the things that we're doing is to help humanity feel more playful, more joyous, rather than, oh, I got this work to do, the old, what many have called in the Western culture, the 9 to 5. Oh, I got to do this 9 to 5, kind of like heavy burden, dense kind of thing, rather than I've got all the time in the universe to play and enjoy and heal and free up others. So it's a real win-win dynamic you're moving into. And so your physiological aspect, emotional things that Volterov is already touching on, would set the stage for today's expression and sharing with you to free up, to let go of old preconceived notions regarding the word work or anything relative to it, that work is instead a passionate manifestation, expression of your joyous connection with divine creation and what you manifest. And through, yes, the RV itself is the catalyst for things. There are many other doors you have to open, have people all around the world joining together, no matter where they are. While there will be a lot of major focus for you in where you are physically, you will eventually, and this has been pointed out, will also journey to other places. Even though you may spend a lot of your time where you are now, you're still destined to travel on other parts of the planet as well as off planet. But the sense of freedom and having unlimited resources, that's the thing that through the energetics of you, as you move closer and closer to this moment regarding the RV, things that will continue to accelerate forward, and how certain deadlines or things will might be sped up or slowed down somewhat depending on what is necessary. That there's going to be meetings that will be set up to discuss, kind of, as we could say, many talk about using the phrase in regard to when you're sitting down together, you're brainstorming. That would be a way of phraseology. But this is a very joyous, spontaneous thing, but you're still discussing protocols, procedures, things to make it easy and smooth, and everybody's sharing their ideas. And so some things will be spontaneously kind of discovered or come up with over the coming months, in the next year or two, as things proceed in that direction, and rolling out of everything that one needs, everything you will possibly need and then some, and those that will be specifically guided to work with you. Even though you could say that some of you will have what was traditionally called the CEO but it will have a different kind of meaning. It won't be because much of that was very corrupt in times past. Now, yes, there was unique individuals who were very altruistic and wanted to give everybody an opportunity, but the way that the old economic systems and ways work were excluding a lot of people. So what was going to come into these kinds of manifestations will be more of a opening up to all of humanity, but having a very orderly but yet spontaneous rollout is the phrase I would use. Spontaneous ideas popping up, and so a lot of it has to be spontaneous. A lot of it has to be allowing it to, when the time is in the moment, the catalyst is occurring, and you have an epiphany and a revelation, and then you write all of ideas down and share those, and then as you go forward, you may find yourself changing some of those. So it'll be ongoing and constantly changing and adapting to include or exclude whatever is necessary to make it a very user-friendly, so that of everyone whose hearts are pure that are part of it, will naturally be drawn to the position and where they're supposed to be as everybody, shall we say, works together, that are drawn. There'll be plenty of openings and positions available, and more humanity is waking up all the time, because in fact between now and this linear time today and the actual moment when the projects begin to be openly discussed and assigning certain tasks, responsibilities for different people, some of the people that are yet to emerge that will be part of some of those, we say, initial unveiling and premiering, and different words I can use, are just now awakening. Some people are waking up very, very fast, kind of late in the game, but it's never too late. It's just that some people already, like yourself, are very tuned in a certain part of what was going to happen. Now there's another part of you that's going to open up even more. So you will begin to tap into the core, more connected to your higher self. We've already kind of set up, created certain rollout protocols. You have quite a few different ones. It's not like you're stuck in just one procedure. You can actually combine some of them, different things coming together. So, and one of the reasons that we have been a little, and some of the what we would call intel sources are purposely a little vague, if I use that phrase, toward the process of rolling out some of the things you want to get more specifics about, is partly for security reasons. Because even though the imbalanced forces will never be able to stop this, which is about to take place, temporarily, until the energy of light, which is continuing to build up, as the light builds up more and more, then it becomes easier for us to unload more specific details about things. Some of the, as we say, procedural tactical maneuvers and things that will specifically take place, that as we get closer to those moments, your own consciousness, and we are helping you do this, we help you help yourself, have already kind of tapped into certain things you want to do, but the exact details, again, the reason we use the analogy of the structure of the house or the building is there, and then you fill it in by choosing whatever colors, materials you want to use. So the basic outline of the divine plan is there, the structure is there, but you have a lot of space, a lot of freedom to do a lot of creative innovation, as we call it. So Lord Rokan, his expertise is innovation. I've worked a lot with him on healing projects and things that, shall we say, stir things up sometimes, because sometimes when things are not as specifically specified and all the details given, and you get to create those details as you go along. We're just saying that a lot of things couldn't be specifically detailed up until now, and because even though the imbalanced forces cannot stop things, them being aware of what we would say, how things are going to roll out, we didn't want them to influence any of that stuff. They will be stopped, they're being removed from the scene, and they won't be able to interfere as it rolls out. It's just that there are certain things that once we get past a little more of the hurdles and the disclosure of the thing, crimes against humanity, those things where things can be put to rest, where it is in the phrase, forgiving but not forgetting, because now one has wisdom. One doesn't need to remember all the details of these things, but it's a part of the, as we would say, the responsible aspect of what you're going to be doing, specific goals and tasks and those kinds of things, that part of you relative to the wisdom of the ages that you have in your DNA, RNA, abilities, capacities of the guardian to lead, to inspire, some of that sense of rolling up your sleeves and the exact innovative approach that you decide to do, is there's still some, as we say, maneuvering and things based upon what you're going through right now. So that more of the things that are exposed, where humanity finally functionally rather than dysfunctionally ignoring or denying, finally accepts certain things, but now having greater hope for the future, having greater a sense of a promise. It's kind of like the phraseologies that has come through this channel quite often. Ashtar has said this, it's one of those cosmic done deal, sacred promise types of things. It's inevitable. It's a promise from divine creation, from on high, that these things are indeed going to happen. What isn't a promise is the exact sense of timing. It's like the phrase, don't hold it against me now, in the sense we're doing the best we can to finalize, to clarify, to focus into that most perfect divine moment that can only be done spontaneously without a specific, as we say, time per se, but we're getting much, much closer to it now. And we're just saying that some of what reason there's been a delay in some of the more specific details, but much of it is because it has to be spontaneous, and some of it could not be finalized. Like it's almost like the detailing of a vehicle, of a car, or something they use to get the last. Some of the creativity had to be spontaneous. It couldn't be defined at a time. It had to be allowed to spontaneously roll out in some ways. Now there's order, there's a definite game plan to things, but exactly how it's going to roll out was the response, the aftermath of how humanity deals with these revelations that are very challenging for humanity to accept. And we don't want humanity to be in denial, but we don't want humanity to be depressed per se either. We want humanity to be inspired and looking forward to what's about to take place, but we want humanity to grasp, to acknowledge these skeletons in humanity's closets, because once it has acknowledged it, that we don't have to be redundant about it, wear it out. We just want the humanity with a sense of epiphany and revelation, because part of that revelation is immediately by seeing the problems and the mistakes and the crimes that took place, this wisdom that all of humanity is now in the process of receiving, manifesting. Some of that had to be completed first. So we're not saying that you're jumping the gun to try to find out more details of some of this. We're just saying that this process that's unfolding right now is something we are letting it take place. And then over the coming months, there will be, shall we say, as things start to clear and more self-realization, more of an acknowledgement of some stuff rather than trying to put it underneath the rug. And we're talking about certain portions of humanity. Some of these individuals are going to be connecting with you. So you're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for a number of people to kind of do catch up, or you have focused on a lot of other things. But you see something this channel received just today, in fact, when he was kind of pondering some things about some of those who feel like I should be doing more. Well, like trying to compare themselves, not meaning to, but with others who seem to be more out there in the public level, doing more, taking in more of the slings of outrageous fortune, flack on the front line, so to speak. When the truth is that everyone is a project in operation. There are many people, as with yourself, who are also very busy on some other levels, and we can even call these away missions against the imbalanced forces in other parts of the universe, parts of your consciousness, parts of your soul, because you're multidimensional. It's off in other realms and regions of the universe, specifically helping other guardian units, we'll say, to clear out and cleanse the heavens of some old riffraff. And even though it may not be believed that that area of the universe has any relation to what's going on Earth or vice versa, everything in the universe is connected in some way, directly, indirectly. And so as we clean out certain other areas, it's in some other areas of the universe you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, like, I can breathe. Oh, it's so wonderful. I can now kind of relax relax, because now that stress, that torment, that was there before, that was kind of keeping me from having this breakthrough, this transformation, this transformational awakening and epiphany. Now I feel like something has been removed behind, like on my back. I can't even, the only way I can express it. Now that that's been removed, I can't put it in words, but I don't know why, but now I can see the breakthroughs happening, synchronicity, positive domino effects. So yeah, so there's some things that are actually occurring elsewhere, and those are to understand on one level, that are being finished up right now. And as that's finished up, the clearing, the heavens in some area, all of a sudden, the genetic things, we'll call it, connected with planet Earth from eons ago, all of a sudden those things are severed, and they can no longer have control over the Earth. So these are happening. There's a lot of these last minute, shall we say, adjustments, intergalactic acupuncture with Earth itself. Like, think of the meridians and vortexes and stargates are acupuncture points. So on the meridians and how it's connected with stargates and things, and you are a guardian, so you are having to rearrange and cleanse out, and a lot of cleansing going on in some levels that now, and so as many of those were shut down to be cleaned out, now they've been cleaned out, now they're opening back up. As they open back up, that shifts some things around as well. It's all kind of like juggling, balancing an act on a lot of levels. So as things line up, then there comes that point where, again, and some of the encodings that we're downloading through today's session will help you get more to that point in your own, as we say, tuning process, fine-tuning yourself, so that as you go forward and you enter in your consciousness interphases. See, we want to say something, and we kind of touched on this already a little bit. The difference between, we could call it positive AI, or we like to call it quantum consciousness, versus negative AI, that tries to destroy and control and enslave. Well, positive higher consciousness technologies enhance and expand your freedom. And the interface of mind, brain with technology is an energetic thing, not like the fictional idea of those beings who consume negative types of the Borg and the Star Trek aspect, where they just keep on assimilating. That's not what this technology does. The positive technology enhances freedom, expands you, and frees you up. But the technological interface is technology that interfaces with you, but it respects your sovereignty, but it enhances all your capacities. And that's what certain people who were doing it in a crude way, many of them were doing for negative reasons, while others really had a benevolent intent, but they realized that the dark ones could take that technology and use it against humanity. And so we just mentioned this, is that there's a lot of individuals who started out kind of naive. They really wanted to use it, but what was happening, unfortunately, is the dark ones were taking it and taking control over those ideas to use it entirely for a negative control purpose. And so we're lighting that whole process to expose, to transmute, release those negative aspects. And it's something we've already talked about through this channel, that the technologies that are going to be given to humanity, and what we ourselves have made more fail-safe, is that this technology cannot ever be used, will be impossible to ever, but if it even fell into the hands of the dark side, they couldn't use it, because you have to have the cosmic access code. That is, you have to have what is many call Christ consciousness to even interface with it. It has to be aligned with the divine blueprint of our divine creator of the universes. It has to be in harmony to that. And so as these things balance out, as these things become more clarified, we will say much of that which has been purposely made a little vague for security reasons will begin to be revealed, clarified, shown to you more and more clearly. So today is kind of an activation sequence to bring you into greater. Now we can help. We're open to any questions you want to ask us. I want to be considered a motor mouth like Ashtar is. I am Zoser, and of course with Rokan, an innovator. I'm of course the Cosmic Physician of Light, and I work a lot with Voltra, the Cosmic Cosmos Psychotherapist, and all the team up here. We're all working in different capacities. We interface with one another in a great fellowship. And again, because I have connected with you in the past as related to being the guardian. You've been the guardian. I've been very much a guardian to the healing aspect. And sometimes we had to battle, protect certain worlds from the dark ones who wanted to control and manipulate. As as we went along regarding this sense of creating technology as totally fail-safe, that one's consciousness is what allows one to use it. Anyone who doesn't have a consciousness, they cannot access the cosmic security code because they're not attuned to it. And so this is a thing that, because there will be many still concerned, but about to make sure that only those of the light can use it. Well, one of the reasons this whole process is taking longer to reach that moment of rollout and things being officially activated, so to speak, is because of making sure that every last one of the imbalanced energies and forces are removed, transmuted, retransmuted through the Godhead, those who have to face the responsibility, and that's still a very dense process, but it will become lighter and lighter as we go forward. So we just wanted to emphasize there's a balancing effect to bring you to a point where we can disclose more of the details of certain things. So I know that there's frustration of not being able to access more, but on the other hand, there may be things that we can, quote, clarify for you that doesn't in any way threaten the so-called security of what we are allowed and what we're not allowed. It's like the cosmic form of an NDA, non-disclosure thing, in a cosmic energetic philosophical sense. That some things we just can't share because we have right at this moment, while other things we can, because we have to let some things to continue their process, and then a new step, a new area of transformation begins. It's like a domino effect, an activation, a chain reaction kind of thing is set up. And then we reach a point where then everything can be more fully revealed, and we're getting closer to that moment. So we understand the frustration of much of the ground crew because many feel it's been so long to get to this next stage. But we just like to remind you, there can be no mistakes made. Now, there are mistakes that sometimes can be learning experiences. What we're talking about in what's many call the chess game, to these last final moves, we're being very cautious. We say we because we on the higher realm, and those of the Earth Alliance that we work with, we're overlighting to make sure that there's impossible for any mistakes that the imbalanced forces are trying to use as a last-minute attempt to delay the inevitable. As they have said, nothing can stop what's coming. That's true, very true. Many times over. It's just we still have to follow certain protocols. So, but again, if there's some things that I might help clarify or I'm allowed to share, and maybe there's some other areas that you can kind of, maybe in any questions you have that can help direct a focus of what we can concentrate and focus on, and at least give you some feeling of a little more fulfillment, that some things can be answered, some things can be clarified versus the things that we can't. So maybe in our interactions here, what you have to share, because we're learning from you as much as you can learn from us. Life is a two-way street. As we said before, none of us are so high and mighty that we can't learn from our ground crew, especially beings like yourself who've been here on extended tours in the past, and you have this sense of having that greater wisdom. We especially, we always like to hear input and insights and things from the perspective of how you see it, and even the process of opening up more, that helps you when you connect with others that some might call novices, but they're also very involved. They just haven't realized who they actually are. So a lot of your interphasing will be with individuals who are waking up, and the interactive interaction with them automatically will cause their DNA RNA to activate. Because as you activate and open up, automatically it's like dropping a pebble in the pool, and as the channel election invoke, the ripple effect goes out all over the planet. And so it doesn't matter if one's halfway around the planet, the energetic wave hits them, 100th monkey effect, and they come into alignment. And this is part of that cosmic security code to make it impossible for the imbalanced forces to interfere with this. Certain technologies that we didn't have millions of years ago, thousands of years ago, have now come online, so it makes it easier. But they're still learning. That's why we can't rush it too fast. We have to take it step at a time. And some things have to be allowed to play out, because again, wisdom will come out of that. But what can we help clarify of any questions based on the little time we have shared already? We're always, of course, realizing the 90-minute factor of this channel schedule. We try to respect that, but try to compress as much as we can, as much as we can, and how many millions of years can we share in 90 minutes, kind of thing. So what may I help clarify more at this time?
So I just wanted to share my gratitude to everyone And I send everyone my unconditional love from my heart. I wanted to start with that. I understand that you mentioned that your expertise was more in the area of healing and cosmic healing aspect of things.
Hmm.
So, yeah, one of the projects, I guess it would be in one sense, it is a very extremely important project that I wish to work on and that I hope and want to work on. Would be just like you rightly said, the MedBeds and advanced frequency-based healing technologies. Me personally, I do have a general idea about things. I would need, I guess everybody would be going through some kind of training. Now there is a different type of, different range of information available out there. One thing is that I've heard is the training could be about 1 month to 3 months, and from another source, I've heard the training, if you are totally a new person with no medical background, the training could be 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, even more than 12 months. So I was wondering if I could get a little more clarity on that. That's the first thing.
Hmm. Yes, you hit it. You hit the. And what do they say on the earth? The expression, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah,
Okay.
if it's not the nail, it's make sure you. Yeah, it's like the bullseye, the dart. You're throwing the dart, hits the bullseye right there. Kind of. Yes, you have had quite a going back millions of years, and as the original designs quote of what has been called MedBeds or rejuvenation chambers was, shall we say, downloaded from divine creation to early planetary galactic civilizations, where it became part of that reality, and especially later on during certain galactic wars and the after effects of that. Things were updated, things were altered somewhat to adjust to the circumstances, and you were one who worked design. You were gifted, had an innate knowing about energies, polarities, meridians, things in the physical body, the cellular bodies, all the cellular, the physical and all the cellulars, and how dimensional changes occur. To have a lot of already very quite a thorough and vast background that you're going to be tapping into. And progressively, as we go forward in this planetary great awakening ascension process, automatically there are activations, of course, that begin to happen. Of course, the downloading of the encodements through these sessions are designed to amplify and to what we could say speed things up, but not speed things up so mad that we jump the gun, trying to get things happen too fast. Because we know there's this urgent feeling, this desire, this excitement, this I can't wait to have this experience. And so it's kind of like the dichotomy of how much can we push the envelope while holding back with patience and faith. How many times, how much can we push things without overshooting the gun too fast? And it's always this challenge of that. So, and that's what's difficult when you have an innate sense. You sense certain things, but you can't quite put your finger on it because you're not quite allowed to. It's that nagging sense of in the back of my mind, there's this ability, the knowledge. But ultimately, it'll be worth the wait because, in one sense, the longer you wait and build up that sense of expectation, there's a certain sense of it that your sense the patience balances the man the torpedo full speed ahead. Some have used that expression. So you push the envelope while holding back to observe, to kind of scrutinize what's going on. And it's it's very much of a balancing thing. And there are different designs, and even one is called the celestial chamber that is more in an advanced medbed ultimate technology. So those are the things that ultimately will become available. And then of course even medbeds themselves, there comes a point in the civilization's evolution that they need to use technologies like that when because you have innately within your own consciousness your own innate ability to rejuvenate yourself. You won't need the technology, but during planetary transitions especially, these are really ways of reminding not only those who have been our volunteer starseeds in Earth embodiment, natural abilities of transforming the physical body energetically, but for those souls, term leggers getting off the wheel of karma, this is helping to activate their own natural abilities to develop their own abilities. So MedBeds are really a transition technology to help you develop the natural ability, not needing a machine or a device to step in or lay down in. You have an innate, that the innateness is already there, and this kind of reminds the DNA RNA. That's what it helps to remind you of your own natural rejuvenation abilities. It's because at first humanity may have to initially may need one or more times or less time to be in the medbed as the energy shifts on the planet. Then the consciousness of the planet you're merging into itself becomes rejuvenating. But medbeds will be used for quite a while. Well, that's a relative. How many years is a relative thing? Till no longer really needed, because the Earth, as we shift more and more to a higher dimension, then the energy you're moving into is in itself manifesting what you will be. You'll be existing in an immortality field of the 5D and above. And the higher you go into a free, the more you become and retain your immortality, DNA RNA quality. So we're just saying that some things, just like the new quantum financial system, which is replacing the old corrupt central banking system, that will last for a while, a number of years, and then eventually that will be phased out because everything will be more of what we'd call a Love-Barter system, as exists in the higher worlds. But at the same time, those of us in the higher realms are, shall we say, working with the white hats to make it a positive system, being monitored by a higher divine source energy to make sure that only those of the light can be a part of this system. But there's still last minute adjustments to make it even more fail-safe, so it's impossible for any being who is not aligned with the light to be a part of it. Again, it's part of the transition of the planet that causes things to activate, and then it's finally put to the side. We don't need that step anymore, because now we're moving into a higher level for the Earth, and then on it goes. So that's when we're also saying that these different the rollout procedures and methods and choices, and when you travel and when you don't travel, who you're going to be working with, sitting down in classes and hands-on teaching becomes more and more mental, telepathic interface with the technology itself. It becomes self-learning, kind of like the thinking cap thing that many have theorized, putting on a thinking cap. Well, the technology itself telepathically interfaces with you. And so it's not putting something in your head physically, it's a consciousness connection. The access code is the divine love of your heart, your soul, connected with all levels of creation. That's the ultimate fail-safe frequency anyway, pure love, pure alignment with the divine blueprint of creation itself, and everything is moving very rapidly in that direction. So again, there's, as we could say, there's all kinds of things that, would be more and more clarified as time goes on. Or just, again, we want to say there's all kinds of things, revelations about to come out, and of course, because of various companies. In fact, somebody has mentioned this about Kodak being one of those, in fact, that are working on producing the MedBeds, and there's some others too that will be revealed not too far in the coming months that are connected with. There's several different companies actually. Ultimately, there's slight variances in the design, but they're all basically the same. And there's some variances related to certain individual things that people, I like this design a little better. And when we say design, they will all function basically the same, but how one works with it, interfaces with it, operates it, those kinds of things may vary slightly, and who's produced it, brought it out. And then there can be individual, as we say, ingenuity, and interfaced into it. It's like, okay, we're going to put this design and put a few features here. We use the analogy of certain vehicles, cars and things, have varying differences in design and those things. Bad analogy, maybe, but because ultimately everything will be pure energy activated, not combustion engine. Those are all, that will become an obsolete dinosaur thing very soon as we go forward. So all technology is just going to be energetically efficient to your reality and what, again, is best for each situation. So because of the innovative adaptability of that, even the rollout in the how many of the different projects, humanitarian global projects, are specifically in an exact detail going to be manifested. Again, there's a lot of free will there, and because divine creation wants to leave the door open for all kinds of open season, we can say, in a positive way, and be spontaneous and filled with joy. No heavy schedules you have to live up to. The only scheduling is what your higher self has guided you to do, and as you join in fellowship with many others, it'll be a natural sense of connection with various individuals, and then it'll be a natural result of feeling, oh yeah, let's do this project together. It'll just be kind of like that. It's easy. There's not much difficulty, and as there often is in other kinds of jobs and things that exist on Earth, because these jobs aren't just work, they're play, they're joy, enjoyment, they're fulfillment. Work is meant to be play, actually, and celebration. No more of the older, heavy kinds of having to work to survive, but instead you're playing, you're experiencing enjoy and celebration. That is the energy we're moving into. And the more the consciousness shifts, the more that vibe, that focus becomes part of the picture, part of the reality, part of the instruction manual, so to speak. Like, remember to be joyous, that kind of thing. That as that consciousness pervades everything, then everything just rolls out in that vibe, and then all the pain and suffering ceases. And some of the technology you're going to use regarding the replicators, and also technology that works with nature, because as in the old saying, it's not wise to fool Mother Nature, working with nature, but being able to control nature, not in a negative, possessive, but working and guiding, working with nature, working with the elementals, the nature spirits, the elfin kingdom, to, in a sense, because man was supposed to have dominion over, but not in a destructive, controlling way, but as a guidance and inspiration to nature, working with nature, coexisting in nature, with nature. And so dominion in that sense, being in charge, being responsible, as in being a guardian to, as in looking over, guiding, protecting, influencing as evolution, because every kingdom will have epiphanies. Every kingdom will learn from one another as it was in the beginning. Now humans are now relearning a sense of fellowship, how to work with these other kingdoms as a normal everyday thing. No one's excluded, no one's ignored, everyone's acknowledged, and rightfully so. So no one's going to be left out of the picture, left out of the script any longer. All will be win-win. No lose-win, no lose-lose, but win-win. Everyone will have a piece of the action, but a meaning of joy and celebration. That is what it's meant to be. And so, again, part of the rollout, part of the scripting, proceduring, scheduling kinds of things are more spontaneous. And now there are moments one can say, well, this has to be kind of rigid. We have to do it this way. But eventually it too becomes more flexible without all of the limitations that have been imposed on technology before. Because remember, understand that so much of technology in the past, because of individuals who wanted to create obsolescence, and many of those had ties with certain Nazi fascist types individuals, again, controlling, manipulating, and for destructive purposes. So when you realize that what we have always pioneered is technology that lasts forever, but if it needs to change, it will actually automatically evolve itself into a higher application of itself, higher form of itself. It's like all living things do. And it won't break down, so you have to buy a new thing. No, that's an old... instead, things are designed to literally last forever, but still be adaptable and very easily so. And that's what we're very excited about. See the focus and the intent and the areas that will be highlighted for everyone else to benefit and enjoy. So it isn't a need to be competitive. Instead, it's a need to be in fellowship and share your ideas with everyone else. As far as copyrights and trademarks, those things will go away because there will be plenty of abundance for everybody. Since there will be plenty of abundance and then some, nobody will have fear of losing or someone else will have more. That's an old, outdated idea. And we understand that's been part of certain, quote, capitalist systems of incentive and being able to improve one's life in that sense. But as time goes on, there's more sharing while still being responsible and sovereign for each individual space that you exist in. And that you also share and share life. Life's a two-way street. People join together as it is in higher worlds. And it worked very well for us. And so now Earth is becoming a junior league member of our federation and now the Alliance. We'll also share everything that we can share. No one will be cut off from anything. It's just that these are the beginnings of this more open, ultimate first contact interaction. And humanity will never be the same. It will be a joyous surprise of discovery and sharing that we can possibly share. But again, if there are any specific questions there, we want to express how much love we have for you and everyone on Earth. We can't express enough of that love, that fellowship, and our desire has always been there, and not only because of the healing modalities that I help many and to become in tune to infinite number of healing modalities and technologies and protocols that are now going to become more of and I have been working overtime to make, and because there is a need to be responsible. So companies that have tried to get out of the crimes against humanity, I've been working with, as my friend Saint Germain, the great, some have called him the God of Freedom, who inspired the forefathers of the United States of America to form a republic, thereby a place that everyone would be, their sovereignty would be respected. Their unalienable rights given by our divine creator would be celebrated and acknowledged, that there are some things that you are innately endowed with, and that no one can mess with those things. That is just part of the way we operate as well, but because of the hidden agendas to suppress certain rights for different reasons and put a spin on something and put a curve to it rather than the real reason something was established, and humanity began to get back to basics and understand there are some basic things that will always be true no matter where in the universe we operate. And it was downloaded, and so it became, as the United States was meant to be, an inspiration. Unfortunately, it was hijacked, but now that hijacking is being exposed, and all the world is now coming together, united, and still respecting the sovereignty of each culture and each race and each country, and yet coming together in fellowship, not giving up individuality, but joining together in fellowship and sharing and becoming a part of an alliance and a universal alliance off planet. And so that is being strengths in numbers and aligning and identifying and being able to discern what are the important priorities that we can now do together on all levels of the universe, that everyone will be benefited by. No one will be left out of the situation. Everyone will join and be strength in that unification. And it is great joy, and again, to see you and other members of the ground crew, the things you've accomplished, and to now begin to allow you yourself to tap into these higher levels. As time goes on and the codes that continue to be downloaded will continue to be enhanced, amplified, increased, and again, pushing the envelope, but also having to have the little holding pattern of faith and knowing that these breakthroughs will happen and all levels will become available. And we try to push it as much as we can, while still making sure everything we're doing is overlighted by our divine creator. That is, we always truly, with the highest part of our being, always invoke the divine will in everything we think, say, and do. And if we ever make any mistakes, we don't repeat them, as has happened on Earth sometimes. But it's also, the mistakes are sometimes opportunities for breakthroughs and insights that one wouldn't have had the chance to if they didn't have that situation. So you're going to be very instrumental in helping a lot of souls who were judged by the rest of humanity as being misfits and failures. You will help to support the nobleness of their being, that they're noble beings, that they are individualized God sparks of divine intelligence with unique things to be brought to the table, to be brought to the party, make the party more interesting. And my friend Rokan would say, he likes to stir the soup, give them something to talk about, because even if they get upset, at least we know they're alive. They have got enough passion to get upset. My God, they're alive. that kind of thing. And it's okay to agree to disagree. We have very passionate conversations of agree to disagree, but we still love one another, we still work together, and eventually we all come to greater clarity and understanding and fellowship for that reason. So in this rollout and the things that you are looking for, more specific things and insights, I can assure you that as each step as everything unfolds, it's like divine creation unfolding an instruction manual. And when we're using, it's kind of a kind of very flexible Play-Doh kind of instruction manual, I'll call it, where it's kind of floating around, it's changing. It's almost like the fact there have been different types of lamps, for example. They were called lava lamps, where there were certain oil things, certain different things that were brought together and created these interesting effects in this kind of solution where it would move around and beautiful light shone through it, and it was very beautiful to look at. Well, so these kinds of instruction manuals are like that. They're kind of like, they move around like the lava lamp kind of thing, and yet they're still in harmony to each moment. They are adapting, they're changing. The instruction manual is something that adapts as it goes forward. And there are some what may appear as very rigid, kind of like the foundation of the house is the analogy. Those things create strength and order, yet around it is a flexibility of how it adapts as it transforms the greater sense of itself to, instead of just seeing like a little tiny slice of the pie, you see 360 degrees and then some of all creation, like a kaleidoscope of change and beauty happening all the time. So the instruction manual kind of adjusts itself automatically, updates itself to take into account, to allow other fluctuations in the field, like we said earlier, other portions of regions of the universe who are going through their final cleansing, and how that's impacting Earth, and vice versa, and how new cosmic energy, this has been mentioned before, of our divine creator is manifest energy in the universe. And it was kind of shall we say, it was kind of representing, and this channel kind of picked up on it, the kind of energy, if one put it into a phrase, it would be like, you're going to enjoy life whether you like it or not. And that just is the way divine creation is tired of the pain and the suffering. It has been necessary, much for a society like Earth, to learn the hard way, because that was the only way. That's why many souls came to Earth this final time, because any place like this is not going to exist much longer. To learn those kind of really get down and dirty, quote, is the phrase that has been used, situations in the real world, someone's called that phrase too, when you're dealing with things, can you keep your ideals and principles and not, in a sense, compromise them? And what's the difference between, this is something Bolter is quite an expert on, something that you are truly, you embrace it, you embody it, so to speak, because it is one of those universal axioms of truth, of purpose, like the sense that, like when one invokes not my will but thine be done, kind of thing, that making sure that one's free will is aligned with divine will. And of course, we've said before, the more you invoke that, the more free will you're given, because you should responsibility and maturity of handling this great amount of free will. So this instruction manual itself will adapt and will kind of reveal itself to you as you demonstrate. You've already demonstrated many times, but as you go through the kind of little elbow grease of taking charge of certain things in a symbolic sense, because even though you can be considered kind of leading certain things, you're inspiring others. There's others who look up to you in one sense, but you treat them as an equal, and they're equal to you in many other levels. It's just that somebody, as in our chain of command, spiritual hierarchy, there's commanders and captains of ships, and you can say that kind of thing, because one is drawn to a position of responsibility because they want to inspire. They're elevated to that level, not like those who want to control and manipulate, but one who inspires by being there and representing that part of that chain of command, inspiring the rest of the crew to operate a certain way, while ennobling them, while celebrating their victories of breakthroughs. So there's just a lot of, as we say, there's this thing about they're going to enjoy life whether they like it or not. Energy is pervading everything to get rid of the old darkness and pain and suffering. So everybody comes online, everybody connects in fellowship together, And there's not, and while there may always be agree to disagree things, it's more in a very harmonious sense of let's discuss it, let's philosophically kind of sit down together and see how can we put our heads together, come up with innovative ways and approaches that everybody's going to benefit from. Everybody's going to have a win-win opportunity. No one is excluded. It isn't the survival of the fittest, even though some people are celebrated because they stand out having exceptional abilities. They're not better than, they're just, that area happens to be the area that they thrive in. And then other people's areas are celebrated and for their wonderful uniqueness. And it's all to celebrate, to inspire. Everybody in fellowship is working together. No one's less than. Everyone is equal. Everyone has an equal chance, and there's just more opportunities to truly get ahead. But that phrase, get ahead, has an entirely different meaning than much of the old dog-eat-dog aspects of society. It's in everybody's in fellowship. People have been left out, now have an opportunity, many opportunities, in fact, to be a part of this whole thing. All of humanity is coming together. And so the projects of perhaps manifesting enough food, for example, in a very quick time. In fact, we've used the analogy through this channel, like in the ages, we'd say decades ago, what was termed the Berlin airlift, where airplanes drop food on parts of the earth. This will make that look like nothing. This will be in a greater, more planetary scale kind of thing, where suddenly almost like food is dropping out of the sky, so to speak, because of that kind of energy. And we will step in ultimately to help finish up the whole transformational process as we're given okay to do based on humanity's efforts. God helps those who help themselves, the goddess helps those who help themselves. So things will be through your own energetics and knowledge. You'll be able to activate replicators in many different types of systems that can manifest larger amounts of things simultaneously all over the planet. You don't have to be there physically to do it. You just, your consciousness will tune in. You can be off there in the South Seas Island, sipping your cocktail, enjoying and off directing something else in this project. You don't have to necessarily be on there all the time. Now, sometimes you will. You just want to be part of the proceedings that are taking place. But it's not always necessary. It's a greater freedom of interface and innovation of time, space, and you're not limited by time and space any longer as we're moving into. So an entirely different physiological reality that you're about to merge into. That's why trying to describe things based on old phraseologies and things kind of falls short because it's a whole new reality you're moving into. And it's a first for in the way that this planet is evolving as fast as it is. So to try to describe it now would kind of fall short of how magnificent it will actually be as we get closer and closer to the rollout and things of this nature. Some things will be still, some of the old ways of doing things might there be for a little while, but that will be outphased as new energetic, more advanced processes take the place of those older limitations. It's an exciting thing. When today, as usually, we had to summarize a huge amount because we just barely touched the tip of the iceberg. As always, the little tip of the iceberg, when you look under how the rest of most of the iceberg is underneath the ocean, and you see how much is there, well, the little tiny tip up there, we've been shared with you. That's really a good analogy. And there's so much more that's about to be revealed. And you play back this session and you tap into the encodement aspect. That will set the stage for more and more revelations. And there's always the rest that are standing by and the who's who in the cosmic directory that have a lot to share if they're given the chance. But again, we respect the sense of this channel schedule and we respect you and all of the ground crew. And what it's a great joy for us when we have a chance to come through and share as much as we can. Unless there's one last question here before we let the channel come back here.
Yes. Actually, I had one last question for you. But before I ask that, you mentioned that Lord Rokan is also with you. Would I have an option of asking one question to Lord Rokan? In terms, I have a question regarding the innovation. That's what you mentioned he specializes in.
You can go ahead and ask the question, and we'll see what we can come up with as a response.
Okay. So regarding innovation, another thing that was on my mind since the time I was a child. It's actually intensified a lot in all these years. That was in terms of switching over to free energy. The energy from the vacuum, the etheric energy,
Right.
In India, we call it
Mhm.
prana, pran.
Yes. Hmm.
So, is that something that does it look like in the grand scheme of things that I am being energetically, I would be involved in those kind of free energy projects in India?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I can say it's pretty much of a given based on your background. And again, really, and again, how this will be out, how exactly in what way and form, different words and phrases we can use, and time frames that it will take place is a little bit of a question mark, not if it's going to happen, but how and when and why, and the exact circumstances behind that rollout and manifestation. So it's a given. It's going to happen. It's like nothing can stop what's coming because it's part of your destiny. But remember, your destiny is influenced by free will. And that's why the question, philosophical question we brought through this channel a number of times, which came with how much is of destiny, how much is free will? Well, there's an interface. So the more you align your free with divine will, and the greater and more perfect, we could say, or the more beautiful that rollout can take. When one embraces and surrenders to the potential, and it really says, come on, bring it on. I'm really ready as you are, as much as you can at this point. And as you continue to go forward, you become even more and more ready. And that's the thing too. On the one hand, the sooner we do it, the faster it will happen. But if we wait a little bit longer, it's kind of like the analogy of something. It's like when one opens a bottle of wine, let's say, and you let it aerate it, and it kind of takes on a certain taste that it didn't have because the air connecting with the molecules of the wine causes a change to occur, or the tea is percolating and you get all the goodness out of the tea when you pour the hot water in the tea, and the flavors start to come out. So it's kind of like the same thing. There's a certain point when it reaches maximum potential at any given moment. So in one hand, that's why the thing about this dilemma of how fast do we do it, how much do we hold back, because either thing has kind of a positive and negative aspect, and we can use that to either that. So to balance that sense of reaching ultimate perfection, only the divine creator, as in the phrase, no one knows the exact hour time of the day. It's not just, it's, yeah, it's a number, there's an implication to that phrase for millions of different, infinite number of things on planet Earth and around planet Earth. That's why only the divine creator knows that perfect moment. And yet we're very, very close to it at this point. So pushing the envelope or holding back is something that you will kind of sense by your actions, and when you take action and how much you decide, I'm going to hold back a little bit on this and kind of assimilate that in my mind before. I'm not going to rush with the conclusion. I'm just going to simulate, think about it, meditate on it, percolate it in my mind, and then suddenly the epiphany will come to you, and you will clearly see kind of, it's almost like the formula of how to do it and what to do it. Like others who design, such as Tesla, design things, you could see the blueprint, you could see the actual thing created. You didn't have to build a lot of prototypes. I mean, sometimes there may be an aspect of improving something after it's been working a while, but the initial thing itself, as you work it out in your mind, it'll see it very crystal clear. As your DNA RNA activates your ability to remember and see, it's like photographic memory, genetically speaking, that goes back. And then, one can get kind of frustrated when they open up and remember those things too much, when they can't apply themselves to build or create or manifest right yet. They're waiting for a little bit of rest of society to catch up and wake up. And that's kind of a little bit of the dilemma of balancing humanity's final waking up process that's in the process happening, and you and others are biting at the bit. I want to do it now. How do we balance that? Divine creation is helping all of us to balance each of our each level of reality, to all be in harmony to one another. And only the divine creator is capable of doing that perfect balancing act. We are, of course, much more than humanity can usually do on Earth, but even we are still evolving and growing. Everybody's evolving and growing. It's just we don't have the obstructions in the way that humanity has often had to. Now that the cabal, especially, is being removed, no longer be in the picture very much longer. Now with that out of the way over the next few years, you can then move a lot faster, and there's obviously implications for many other things as well. And it's all balancing, it's all adjusting itself. So with that, I know sometimes how frustrating it is because of the greater details that you really desire, and those details will be created, as we said, as you go along. The foundation is there, but there's a filling it in with creativity and spontaneity, and that free will line with divine will is fluctuating, is determining the exact sequence of how it will roll out. So I want to bless you. I am Zoser, along with Lord Rokan and many others who are here part of the team, and our great joy and honor to connect with you. Others stand by for possible future sessions, and I mean, we could spend millions of years, and it's a joy for us to have a chance to have fellowship with you, because it isn't just us being the teachers. Now, it's interacting with your frequency, and as we do so, that causes changes in your consciousness, and everyone is, it's like life is a two-way street, so everybody is benefiting. Highest beings, we could say everyone is benefiting one another, so it's always a joyous opportunity for us when we have that chance, and we look forward to more future opportunities in the future. It's up to you, your guidance, but as you do go forward also, you'll have more and more of your own tuning in and getting it more directly from the source as more and more of the consciousness planet shifts. Now, the more we can interface, sometimes that can actually speed that process up, because our energy signature interfaces with yours, and so there's a sense of helping each other, helping to speed up process as much as possible. But I bless you, and I look forward to connecting always more and more, and others of the team up here as well. Blessings as above, so below, and so it is.